Welcome to Underdog Rising with your host, Wade Posehn, where we ignite your journey from humble beginnings to greatness through inspiring tales of top executives and entrepreneurs. Welcome to Underdog Rising. Today we have Dr. Oleg Konovalov. He is a global thought leader, author, business educator, consultant, and C-suite coach. Dr. Oleg also has been named the Vinci of Visionary Leadership by many leading authorities of our time. Oleg is considered the number one in the world in the field of vision and visionary leadership. Dr. Oleg, thank you for being here with us, and I'm excited to dive into this episode with you.
Wait, I'm super excited to meet you and chat with you. Thank you for inviting me. Thank you.
Of course. So we'll jump right into it. Just for the viewers today, if you can please share your underdog story and, just walk through from where you started to where you are today, just so that we can give a little bit of backstories for the listeners.
I had quite a fun journey, starting as a second engineer on a deep sea trawlers in the North Atlantic. It was a bit of fun, as you could imagine, right? More or less, you're sleeping like 3-4 hours a day, you're working for about 20 hours a day. And then I gone into the office and have grown from a manager to the CEO position. And I was operating a fleet of almost 30 deep sea trawlers. And I was quite a bit of a shark within the fishing industry. Then I decided, hey, I would do something that people actually didn't expect from me. And it was a surprise for the fishing industry. I was the first guy who has gained a doctoral degree being in the fishing industry, because fishing industry is fairly, call it conservative. It's built on experience. They're not about to sink into some big things. So at a certain point, I realized it's too small for me. And I gone back into consulting, wrote a couple of books, and explored. And so this is where I am now. It's like a short brief, but I could imagine. I believe that life is, or biography is not a number of facts. It's a number of impressions. We don't remember the dates, but we celebrate those decisions that we made. When we are not just in control of our life, when we have a full agency of our life, a power to control it. And what we have learned, what impressions remains with us, and that's more important rather than those. From like 32nd of February, I was working for such and such company.
So you touched on in that, backstory, you mentioned control, right? And having control of one's life. Do you feel like you always had control of your life, or do you think you were able to just grasp control of the situations in order to get you to where you are today?
I would look at your question from a very different angle. We're living at the time of the fastest pace of humanity ever faced. And we're facing a lot of chaos around us. And with more changes coming, the chaos would increase. But what I have realized, the most important, it's not about around us. As soon as we're allowing the chaos within our minds, then we're in trouble. So more or less, it's not my business in distress. It's me being in distress. Right? It's not my ship in distress. It's me as a captain being in distress. It's not a chaos around me. It's chaos within my mind. If I can't analyze calmly, what shall I do? Where should I go? We'll have problems. Come on. I'm not a problem fighter. I'm a solution finder. That is my aim. I must find a solution that would get me not just to improve and be a bit better within that chaos. I'm about to find solutions that will get me out of that position and would allow me to make a leap into some very different position.
Wow, that was so profound.
Unless you are a hostage or a victim of circumstances, don't play that game. I don't have a time for drama.
Right. And it's just so fascinating that you talk about take control of the chaos within yourself, because that is an element that almost gets pushed out into the real world, because like you mentioned, there's not the chaos within the boat, but it's the chaos within myself. And if you are able to get control of yourself and control your emotions in the situation within you, that will happen externally as well.
Look, we all receive nasty gifts from others. People tell us, you can't do this. You shouldn't do this. You see the problem coming. So more or less, they're giving us they're sharing their fears. They're passing their mess on us. But if you keep it clear within your mind, and then you're structured, you're simple, you're clear, and so you're effective.
So impactful. I think that is very important for the younger generation to learn and to understand, but to also be able to, go through life and put it into practice.
I have a huge sympathy for the young generation. Even not long ago, I wrote an article, Vision is a lifestyle of the next generations, because they're much bolder. And every generation insists the next generation to repeat their mistakes. And we're very good at this. We're insisting the young generation, Generation Z, for instance, and Generation A, to repeat our mistakes. And that is unfair. Yeah, of course, we got it from our parents, and our parents got it from our grandparents. We should break that chain. Let them be free. They will decide where they want to go, and they will be free. But if we put them into that cage of our mistakes, they wouldn't be free.
And I feel like we have to let them be free to explore, because that's where elements of change can come into play.
Who would define, for instance, if you look at a young guy, right? How we could define what his superpowers, how he would reveal it. We're just simply judging based on our assumptions.
That's very true, because then the previous generation is going to put that individual into a box versus letting them out and exploring and finding themselves to, identify their superpower in a sense, like you mentioned.
Exactly, because when I was young, I was prescribed, so-called, right, in vertical commas, that the best job I will have in my life is some kind of a foreman on a shipyard or like engineer on a boat. Guys, it's not for you to decide.
I like that. It's for you to decide, not for them to decide.
No, it's my life. I'm deciding where do I want to be. Life is not a place we live. It's a path we take. And I'm choosing my path. I'm choosing the storm which I want to face. I'm choosing a fight which I will go into. This is my decision. It's not someone else's decision.
And I think that that's a very major point for the younger generation to focus on, because the people we surround ourselves with, we get molded by them, and it's good to take things with a grain of salt, but at the same time, allow yourself the freedom to discover your strengths and your weaknesses so that you can define the path that you want to walk versus having it defined for you.
And it's not easy because, you see, we all brought up and we are very good at making choices, but we are not helping young generation to be decisive. Make decisions is very different and it's not easy. We're helping them to be very good at choices. And therefore they're saying, look, I will choose the easy way, but I still want to be somewhere high. It doesn't work. You must be prepared if you want to be somewhere in a greater position, to be great as yourself. You must be good at decisions, because decision assumes commitment and responsibility. Choice does not. Life is not a McDonald's. If you're not happy with that Big Mac, you could get whatever, nuggets. It's not about this. It's about decision. But if they would be good at decision, they will be really free, because they would know, I made a decision, I'm committed to this, and there will be at much more elevated point.
Is there a difference? And if there is, would you mind, from your perspective, describing that a little bit in more detail, the difference between decision and choice, right? Sometimes people might think that they're one and the same, but to your point, decision sounds like it takes a little bit more time to analyze, deconstruct, and then make the correct choice in a sense. But if you wouldn't mind elaborating on that.
It's fairly simple. If you're getting married, is it a decision or is it a choice? It is a decision because you decided to commit yourself and take responsibility. When I mentioned that biography is not a number of facts, it's a number of impressions. And so when you or decisions that allows you to take control of or be in control of your life. I decided to go for MBA, then for doctoral degree, being in a fishing industry. Believe me, very well paid. And even my friends said, why are you studying? You have enough money. Man, relax, have a break, have a drink with us. I said, no, I want to learn something that I wouldn't learn later. It's time. So it was a decision because I committed myself. It wasn't a choice. The choice was easy, either TV or, don't know, a drink in the evening, right? So it's an easy choice. Decision assumes commitment. To be healthy, is it a choice or is it a decision? It is a decision because you're deciding, hey, I need to be fit for something, right? So it's all about to change your mindset. Is it a choice or it is a decision? Changing mindset, it's a tough decision.
And that, I think, really aligns with the work you do on vision. And in your book with the Vision Code, you talk about the importance of having a clear vision. If you can share a personal story from your early career that, highlights how having a vision helped you overcome a significant challenge so that the listeners today can learn from you.
I know how to have everything, and I know how to have nothing. And what I have learned, regardless of the problem, whatever you're facing, your goals must be greater than your problems. And I'll tell you, I faced a moment when it was really tough loss, and I understood at a certain point you must learn how to fail intelligently and profit for it and remaining on the course of your vision, what you're about to create. It's not about, people in such cases say, you must work hard again. The hamster in a wheel dies exhausted and never happy, right? It's just like running around and just like, whew, dead. Doesn't work. I've learned a great lesson that hard work of deep thinking and acting. I learned that previous success is a killer of my next success because I'm thinking I must do the same again and again and again. So I more or less turned myself into the position of being that hamster. And all of a sudden I realized, and it was really tough moment. Okay, what are the key elements of everything? A new mindset. I must rethink everything. I must think times bigger because if you are like in a negative situation, not at a positive point, not at surplus. You must think much bigger to get back to the level. But also what's important, act bigger. Many people talk, but how to tell you, in that mathematical equation, their talk is times greater than act.
A lot of people don't act.
They act very little, they talk a lot.
Yeah, they do. They will. You see that so many times. And it's that, it's saying, you got to walk the walk, not talk the talk in a sense. And sometimes there is too much talking.
Yeah, because when you go through something tough, you don't have much time, you don't have much breath to talk much. Spare your breath, spare your energy for something productive. That would make you very, very different, and it would move you where you are now. Talks are good, but we are not paid or rewarded for the talks.
Never, and I think some people think that we are, and it's just not the case. So for the younger generation, like, what are some practical steps that these young professionals can take to develop and articulate a strong personal vision for themselves, especially when they're like starting out in their careers?
First of all, young generation is in a very advanced position comparing to mature adults. Your aspirations are the roots of your vision. Adults, mature people are very good at killing all aspirations already. It's one of the most difficult questions you could ask any adult. talk about your deepest aspirations, your wildest aspirations. People say, I don't have any. They have desires, but they already lost. They already forgot about aspirations. Young people are in much better position. They have their aspirations fresh. So they know what they want to create. Because vision is about what we want to create, not to have, but to create when I have nothing or very little at hand. Right? This is where it starts. The first steps are always difficult. Therefore, don't try to save the world. It doesn't work. You can't make whatever 8 billion people on the planet, everyone happy. It doesn't work. Focus on those few you could really help and expand your vision and learn how to be it. So, bear in mind, life is not about time. Life is about energy. And the higher you will grow in your life, you will understand it's all about energy management. And the best, when we talk about it, different sustainability conferences about renewable energy, green planet, people, you're wrong. Humans are the best in terms of renewable energy if they have greater goals. It's that simple, because you always have energy for something tremendously great. And in that moment, when you see something fascinating, you're not talking about time. It's not like looking at your watch and saying, hey, we have 1 minute for something fascinating. No, you're jumping up and, hey, we will do it. Do simple. Be very clear what kind of a vision you're creating. What's value for others? It's not for yourself. It's not about feeding your ego. It's about creating something valuable. Focus on people who really want to help and be the source of energy.
I love that you mentioned that because we are conductors. Like there's that whole movement around grounding, etc., which basically, energy does flow through the human body. And that's where if people do focus on time, I think potentially they will limit themselves because time is a constraint versus energy is in abundance. And I think that's where, especially when these younger generations are starting out in their careers, you have a good amount of time, but don't focus on it. To your point, have that energy and put that energy towards that vision so that you can ultimately go and achieve your aspirations, because sometimes they might get limited, right? To the earlier point of, if they get defined by other individuals in the world, they get put in a box versus identifying what they want in life and actually really putting energy towards going and achieve it by helping others instead of, focusing on just your individual goals.
If you're limiting your time, you're limiting your possibility to spread your wings. I will tell you, last year, I had a tremendous moment. I was just some kind of rethinking what I'm doing. It was some kind of a tough moment. And I took a piece of paper and I wrote, okay, what I have done or achieved over the last few years, like kind of a short list. It was about to please myself. And then subconsciously, against it, I wrote how long did it take for me to fulfill those achievements. And it's not about exact time. For instance, to write a book, can I say exactly so many days or hours? No, it was like between year 2 or 3, right? Whatever, depends. Or get into that level, 2 to 4 years. Or do this between 3 to 5. So it's not clear, but it's about what I have committed to. And it's all about energy.
Yeah, I mean, it moves the world. And I think there's a lot that people can learn from that. It's just so impactful that there's so much that the younger generation can learn by not being limited by the older generation. But one thing I did want to ask you is, we've been focusing on many different aspects of life, vision, aspirations, etc. For you, because you know all of this knowledge.
No, I'm just trying.
Trying. Okay. And you've learned along the way. Is there one sort of ideology or saying or quote that sticks with you to motivate you through difficult times?
I reflected in my last book, The Fisherman's Path to Leadership. Going through physical, tough storms, I have learned to be the storm myself. I must be the storm that is stronger than forthcoming challenges.
Why is that?
We're all facing challenges. In the tough times, we're thinking about self being very small. No, if you're surviving something tough, you're already the storm. Just be the storm yourself.
That I'm just taking a moment to think about that, because it's you who will probably rise up to that situation and be stronger than what is coming at you so that you can overcome anything that you're facing.
You see, storms are given to us to become storms if we learn from them. If we believe that the world is about to kill us, we don't learn, we only complain. If we believe that the world empowers us, we learn from every experience and we become those storms ourselves.
So it's almost like life happens for you, not to you.
Yeah, exactly.
Fascinating. Because there's also another element within that same book, The Fisherman Path to Leadership. And you mentioned this, right? You say, just as a fisherman relies on their crew, a leader must build and nurture their team. The trust and collaboration are the nets that catch success. So for the younger generation, because that's so fascinating, what practical steps can young professionals take to build trust with their colleagues and team members, like especially when they're new to joining an organization?
First, leadership is about adding value to people. Love and care are my best leadership tools that allows me to reach people's hearts and minds. You must be very clear where do you lead people, what people achieved under your leadership. It's not what you achieved, but what people achieved under you. I believe in metrics. What are the metrics? Not KPIs, but the metrics of your leadership. Your leadership is judged on a simple basis. How your promises, delivered promises, meet people expectations. Be clear what you're promising. Be strong on delivering those promises. So even at a small level, you think, hey guys, I can't promise you the world, but I can promise you this. Be good at this.
Do you think that's where the trust element will come into play as well?
Trust is also when it's very related, or credibility of a leader related to two other things. First of all, trust is not defined by a leader. Trust to a leader is defined by people who trust him or her. My wife's trust to me is defined by her, not by me. So you must learn their metrics. Why they trust me, why they're by my side. It's not because I just said to them, you must trust me. No, it's no basis, nothing like that. And it's very much about confidence. We're confident when we know that we're delivering our promises and people could clearly see these and they're trusting us. Yes, this leader delivers his promises, whatever. Good or bad, we're with him.
But to your point, it comes from them, right? They have to make the decision to trust you. It's not just because you say, I'm a trustworthy person. You do have to prove yourself out. And then it's their choice to actually trust you, which is very impactful.
One of the lessons I have learned, and I will put it in a bit slightly, call it so commercial way. If you see this sign or a motto, for instance, on a wall of a bank, we're the most trustful bank, that means they're already cheating on you. Where's the trust people or declare something that we don't have?
So much valuable information. My mind's just going like,
No. Mind is very delicate and very powerful to take care of it.
yeah, I agree with you. I definitely believe that 90% of life is in your mind, right? I think if you can control that, you can control your outcomes. And you touched on control earlier as well. So we've spoken about a lot here today. For the listeners, like what skills do you think will be the most critical for our future leaders, and how can young professionals, start developing those skills today?
It's about future thinking, right? Future is not about past thinking. It's all about the future. But when we think about the future, you have the first of all, it's about people. The more you know, the better you are. Because you're creating value for people, you're acting for people, you're acting with people. Otherwise, if you're fitting on your own ego, you're not in that game. Goodbye. It's very much about mindset because mindset is your main tool. It helps you, and you must keep it transforming all the time. Like a packet of milk, which has a 12-month shelf life, is actually has much longer shelf life than a mindset. You must shift all the time, transform all the time, rethink everything you do all the time.
And do you think that comes through continuous learning?
Oh, yeah, you're learning continuously, and you're learning first about yourself. You're, tr- you're transforming your mindset, and then you could impact other people's mindsets.
Because an individual will be doing their own self-learning, continuous learning. They're changing themselves, their perspective, their mindset. And then in turn, when they go and talk to people or work on their leadership and lead others, that will be reflected on them, and other people will learn from that individual because they're doing continuous learning.
And a very important element, we're not paid for desires, we're paid for mastery, right? And therefore, mindset, leading people, vision, everything you do demands mastery because desire makes you active, mastery makes you productive. Think, desire fits ego and impatience. Mastery brings food to the table. And therefore, whatever you do, you work with people, be masterful at this. You're creating a vision, you're a visionary leader. It's not about trying your chance. Be masterful at this. Mindset transformation. Be masterful at this. And you will hit.
Yeah, because the desire tends to fade away really quickly.
Oh, yeah. Because something jumps in. Oh, yeah, I want. You more or less, you're following the trends and you're nowhere. You're just a follower.
I really enjoy that mastery because it speaks to putting in the hours of work, putting in the hours of effort, and aligns with your vision because that's ultimately where you want to go. So I see oftentimes in the corporate world, and for young professionals, they will start out in entry level positions and they'll grow in their career. But then you move and there's a shift from managing people into leading people. Um, so, what are some like tactics, or what are maybe some leadership qualities that those younger professionals should focus on in order to make that transition a little bit easier?
Wait, it begins with the first firm and clear decision. You must realize and decide, I am a leader. It's not about I'm a CEO, I'm vice president. No, it's not about this. I'm a leader. You're accepting this responsibility. And as soon as you're good at this, you're already like most of the way there. Most of the people, even at the very high positions, they are not realizing that they're leaders. They believe in their status. And that is a bit wrong.
I never thought of it like that. What you just mentioned is that even some folks that are higher up in certain positions, they focus on status versus that they actually are leaders and leading an entire organization.
Yeah, the difference is very interesting. Status is a single point which people trying to defend. No one cares about that point, but they're still defending it. Leadership, it's a space where my people flourish, and you are not defending it. You are inviting others to grow together within that space. And that is a huge thing because it's a space.
And I mean, that's where you'll make the most impact.
Yes, exactly.
There's so much value that's been delivered in this episode that, I think a lot of people are going to take away and just be fascinated by the books that you've also written and the articles that you've been involved in. I had the pleasure of watching some of the talks that you've been on, and you bring a very, very fresh perspective to this industry, and I like how you relating leadership to fishing. I think there's some good correlations there. So if you have any more info on leadership related to fishing.
Think simple. Fishing is one of the 10 most deadliest professions, right? The higher the risk, the quicker you must sink.
I never even knew that.
No, you must be very good at quick.
Yeah, there's so much related to fishing that you could look at in life, because there's also some certain types of fishing can be very intense, but then there's also others that can be very peaceful.
My accountant used to say when I said, okay, I will spend like carp fishing this weekend, I will do carp fishing, and I always been responding, for me, it's like watching aluminium rust, you know. But it's about peaceful. I say, hey, I just want a piece of, But actually, what's important for the young generation, they're very risky in terms of allowing too much noise into their minds through the gadgets, through the news, through that social media. Unfortunately, it's wrong because you must keep your mind clear and pure because that was allows you to create solutions. Think you must have peace within you and around you to create a peace of mind.
Wow.
Because if you're not allowing that peace, you can't create a peace of mind.
No, you can't because it's too full of all the other stuff that you're putting into your mind. And to your point, social media, streaming devices, we've got devices everywhere we go this day and age. The notifications as well, right? Everything's pinging 24/7. You don't have that time to be quiet, to sit within yourself, focus on your mindset and grow ultimately.
No chance. Therefore, if you want to think, hey, find a bit of a peace or learn how to be in peace even in the noisy environment. Like, for instance, I do fly a lot. Airport, noisy airport, people are running around. It's like, hey, relax, think something nice and think positive.
It really can be something as small as that. Just you're in a busy airport, you're walking around, you're rushing, you're late, notifications are going off on your phone. But to just simply stop, reflect, and take time to think about something nice could alter your entire day.
Yeah, because in this sense, you immediately stay far above those circumstances. Just greater than they are.
So we've spoken about a lot today, and I know, I definitely recommend folks go check out the Vision Code and then also the Fisherman's Path to Leadership. But outside of that, would you recommend any other resources to individuals today to go and view or read, just to do that continuous learning?
I have a very strange approach.
I like it.
I love reading Paulo Coelho. He's a very wise guy, this famous Brazilian writer. I love reading him when I need a bit of inspiration. My next book, which I expect to be delivered to me tomorrow, is Viktor Frankl. And actually, I read his first book, but there are different editions, therefore, I'm reading more and more of him. You are a composer of your own symphony. Therefore, don't play someone else's notes. Create your own notes be the source of inspiration. You can't copy paste someone else's inspiration unless you're really attached to it. You can't write an exact prescription for everyone, how to be successful or how to be better, how to be greater. It's about helping others to think differently and find own ways. It's more or less you must be good and expressing your love in different forms every day to your dearest. Can you get a manual for it? No.
No, absolutely not.
Every vision is unique. It's like a fingerprint. They can be similar to an extent because of the field of application, but they always will be different. Therefore, it's a pattern or algorithm how to think, and I shared it in my book. Therefore, you can't copy paste it.
No, and it's okay. People need to be comfortable and they need to almost love the fact that they are unique in that sense, that you will never truly be an exact replica of somebody else.
No chance. Don't play that game.
Right, yeah. And I think it's amazing for the younger generation. There's so much opportunity for them to be themselves as well, and to kind of forge their own path, because I think this day and age there's more freedom for them to do so versus maybe a couple generations ago there were certain challenges that were difficult to face versus now.
You see, I'm of a bit older generation, right? I wouldn't call myself a second-hand guy, but just like a bit, a bit not as young, right? You always will be criticized. You always will be said that you do something wrong. But if you know and you firmly believe that you will do your best, you will be the best.
A belief is a very strong thing.
If you don't believe in yourself, who would believe in you?
Right. And that's when people don't believe in you and you're trying to forge your own path. It comes down to you. You have to have that solid vision and believe in yourself and keep pushing.
The greater vision you would have, the lesser supporters initially you will have. Because people are afraid of something, facing something big. And therefore, for instance, when I started my journey on that creating vision leadership and all that, how many people supported me? Trust me, very few. Very few. If I would say 2, 3, I wouldn't be much wrong. Now, I have like followers from more than 40 countries and a travel, and people jumping up. They're just like, oh, we want to be on whatever, on your program or watch your video course, whatever. Initially, people said, you're a lunatic. No. Believe me, I was so strongly criticized. And this is a normal reality because people are very quick at judging. They are opinionated. But a good thing about me, I never asked their opinion. Public opinion is opinion of those who never been asked. Right? So if I really admire someone else's expertise and I'm asking for this person's opinion, then consider this as a feedback. Otherwise, it's unjustifiable critics. All countries are facing the same tall poppy syndrome or crab bucket syndrome, whatever, it's the same. Just ignore it.
And I think it's important because you spoke about social media earlier, and everybody has their opinion now on social media. And I think some people can get defined by who they follow and engage with on social media. And I think that's even a good point to highlight is control and manage the people that influence you on a day-to-day basis. Kind of going back to that element of peace and having those moments of keeping your mind empty. But if you're constantly flooding it with bad or negative information from social media, you're going to derail yourself.
The only one person who could really influence me is tomorrow's me.
Wow. I've never thought of that.
Because look, why I should value an opinion of someone who doesn't have any expertise, and he just like, I never saw that person, and because he's tapping some kind of a comment, if it's valuable and he really contributes, that's thank you. I greatly appreciate it. If someone just like, I have an opinion, have you researched this? Have you tried this before yourself? No, skip that opinion. It's like more or less, it's like an opinion of remote relatives who are trying to tell you you should be marrying another woman. Man, leave me alone. This is my family. This is my wife. Get lost.
Yeah, you have to be protective of that.
You're not defending your ground. When you know that you're creating a tremendous space of value, you will fight for it. because it's valuable for you, it's valuable for others. And therefore, you wouldn't be listening to that. How many people were supporting Elon Musk when he created SpaceX? It was more of guys with some kind of a weird critics. Now they're saying, "Oh, we believed in you. It was tremendous." Hey, guys, what's wrong with your memory?
Right, exactly.
Look at your account, what you have wrote like a couple of years ago. No, 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 no. Don't play that game.
And it takes, yeah, it takes that, to your point, the vision, right? And that mastery to just, for him to keep going, because when you have so many people that doubt you, you need to lean into yourself, believe yourself, lean into that vision and just keep going.
Wait, brilliant point. Doubts. They're doubtful about themselves, and therefore they're imposing their doubts on you.
Yes.
Thank you for that nasty gift.
Yeah, take it back.
Yeah, it's yours. It's not mine. It's yours. Give it to yourself.
It is. It's interesting whenever there's, those negative comments or feedback, whether it be online or in person or doubt. To your point, it's very true, because it is a reflection of another individual's internal self that they're putting onto you. And I think you see that so much these days in society.
Think, if you want to grow, feed your strengths to feed your goals. Never feed your weaknesses. What people do, they're trying to highlight your weaknesses and trying to tell you, you should get rid of those weaknesses. I never saw, and believe me, I have experience working with Olympic champions. I never saw any Olympic champion becoming that pedestal because of he was improving on his or her weaknesses. We are building or becoming successful on feeding our strengths.
Yeah.
And people from outside, they're judging us by weaknesses that they assume we have.
Yeah, but we know our true selves. So we need to lean on those strengths to keep going.
If I'm not prepared to give up, in their view, this is weakness. In my view, that's okay. I'm not prepared to give up.
Yeah, and I think it's such a core element for the younger generation to learn and to really focus on. You will have people that won't believe in you. You'll have people that will doubt you.
Trust me, always. There always will be around. That's okay. Imagine a big football game, right? And like 50,000 football fans shouting at the players. What they do, they're criticizing those players.
Yes, they are, actually.
And I never saw those footballers shouting back to that crowd and telling them, you should be better fun. They're busy with their game.
Yes, and their strengths and what they're good at.
And now think for a moment. 22 guys on a pitch, on a football pitch, and a 50,000 on a stadium, and maybe another 50 million people watching them on TV. The percentage of doers is very small.
So profound. I like how you really tie things into data/metrics, because a lot of people won't look at that. But when you do pull out those numbers, it validates the points that you've been talking about all throughout this episode. Because there it is, the amount of doers is so small, but you have to push through all of that noise and keep going.
Exactly.
Yeah, like water off a duck's back, and just let it go and keep swimming.
I could do my best at what I do, but I can't please everyone, that's for sure.
And I think this day and age, there's a lot of people out there that want to try and please everybody, so they don't create a storm or, turmoil or chaos. But there's going to be, it's going to come your way, and you have to push through it. Dr. Oleg, I know it's been an absolute pleasure to just sit here and learn from you, but also to be able to give back to the future generation. Before we round out, is there any last words or pieces of advice or anything you'd like to share? I know you've shared a ton, or maybe even perhaps where people can connect with you, as they listen to this episode.
If you're stepping into leadership, if you made such a decision to be a great leader, regardless at what stage of leadership you are at. Remember, this is a privilege and this is a credit from people that is due every day. And to pay that credit well, be prepared to transform yourself every day at every stage of your life. This is a way to become a great person in whom you will be interested to talk yourself, and you will be a great leader. If you want to learn more, you could find me on my website, olegkonovalov.com, or you could connect me on LinkedIn, for instance, and I'll do respond to messages. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Oleg. This has absolutely been very profound, and I appreciate you taking the time out of your day to share this with the younger generation, because I know it's going to influence them, and it's a wonderful way to give back and empower those that are going to be those next leaders.